Hi, welcome back. In this particular session, we'll discuss user forms. Basically, a user form is a dialog box, or think of it as a form which is custom built and it's based upon the requirements or data which is required by the end user. Now, before I go ahead, I will show you a user form first so that you can easily relate to it. So, for that, I'll go to an Excel file. Now in this particular Excel file, I've got two user forms and we'll go through both these user forms in this particular session. So let's say if I click on fill form, my user form appears. Now this user form has fields like name, age, gender, email, monthly bill, country, then some options of whether the customer or the person is contactable through email or not. So there's a yes or no checkbox. And then you've got some command buttons. So when you click on OK, something will happen. When you click on cancel, the entire user form will disappear. When you click on clear, whatever data the user has filled in these fields will disappear. So I'm sure you may have come across forms similar to this in your personal life where you may have entered your name, your age, your email addresses, etc. In Excel, we can build these tools using VBA and we use some of the controls which we have already discussed. Now, the coding around building a user form is not that difficult. One just needs to have some basic understanding around events and using these different types of controls. So I've got over here, this is a label. Over here, this is a text box. This is again a label. This is a combo box and so on. So whenever someone decides to create a user form, the first step is to have a clear idea as to why it is required, so that the design of the user form can be built around that. Once the requirements have been finalized, then one can go ahead and design the user form and write the relevant VBA codes. So now, as I said, in this particular session, this is one of the user forms which we'll discuss, and there is one more user form, country and states. We'll discuss this as well. So let's go to the developer tab, Visual Basic. So over here in this particular Excel file, because we've got two user forms, so we've got two different forms. Inserting a form is similar to inserting a module. You go to insert and you click on user form. So as soon as you click on user form, a new form will start appearing over here. Right now, the name of this particular user form is user form 1, which can be seen in this properties window over here. So the name is user form. For every user form, you'll have a toolbox also. This toolbox has different controls which you can use. So it has labels, it has text box, it has combo box, list box, checkbox, option button. Then you've got frame over here, you've got command buttons over here. Then you've got a scroll bar, you've got a spin button. So these are the different controls which we have already discussed earlier. Now, what we'll do using these controls, we'll first of all design a user form, and then in the next part, we'll concentrate on writing VBA programs. So for example, if I call my first user form fill form, so right now this is empty, but if I click on this drop down, I've got these different options. So a user can select any of these ages. Similarly, for my country, I've got these different options in a list box. So once we have designed the user form, we'll see how to write VBA programs so that we can add values to the age combo box over here or to the country list box over here. So let's just cancel it for a while and let's go back to our user form one. So right now this is a blank user form. I'll just enlarge it a bit. This is used for basically selecting objects. So let's just select label first. Now the job of a label as such is nothing, but it acts as a header or a field name. So for example, in my first user form, name has been mentioned in a label. Similarly, age also has been mentioned in a label. So a user will know that over here in this field, we are required to fill name. Over here in this field, they are required to fill email address. Over here, they are required to fill monthly bill. Over here, they are required to select a country. So the job of label is sort of to act as a header or a field name rather than anything else. So that once you have inserted a label over here, you can go to the properties window. You can change the name, but this will not change because this is directly related to the caption field over here. So as soon as you change in caption, you bring it to name and you click on anywhere else. So now the name starts appearing over here. Let's select another one. Let's put it as age. So you can change it directly from here also, and as you can see now the caption has also changed automatically. Similarly, you can change this also. Now let's put a text box in front of name so that a person can then enter values in that text box. Now I'll name this as name text box. A text box will not have any caption because this is going to be a field where a person is going to enter data. Let's for age have a combo box. Now my combo box will have a drop down of different ages as we saw in the first form. Let's just rename it to age. Now let's insert another label. Let's call it gender. And let's add option buttons to it. Now these names, say for male, or over here I've got this combo box and over here I've got this text box. So these names we'll call in the VBA programs because this is what the user is going to either tick or untick or fill data in. Using the properties window, so over here you can see that the height for this particular option button is 29.25 and over here it is 18.75. So you can make sure that there is consistency by changing it, say from directly here 18.75, and then you can drag and drop, and then you can also see from here where it is actually situated. So it's on the left side, and then you've got these different options over here. How far is it from the top? 120. Whereas how far, if we look at how far is this one from the top, it is 114. So if I change this also to 114, they will be in line. Let's change the name for this one also to female option button, and let's change the caption to female. Similarly, let's add a frame. The use of a frame is also as such similar to the use of labels. They are there to sort of act as headers or field descriptions. And we'll change the caption. So basically in a frame you can have controls which are similar to each other. Let's just add checkboxes over here. Again, you can make sure that they are aligned correctly using these options over here. You can also change the font, the way these are appearing. So right now it is this particular font. You can select. You've got these different options. Let's just put this yes checkbox, this to yes, this to no, and this to no again. Now the last thing which we'll add to this particular user form is a command button. Now I'll tell you the use of these command buttons over here. So let's say if a user enters data and he has entered all these different options. Now at the end of it, he would want to submit these details, or either he would want to clear these details, or he would want to cancel these details. He can do that by clicking on OK or cancel or say clear. So whenever someone will click on OK, an event will get triggered. So we will then use that particular event and we'll add some VBA program to it so that whenever someone clicks on OK, some statements will run which will either save the data somewhere or they will delete the data or something. Let's go to our first form, which was customer calling for complaint. Let's cancel this from here. And this is my particular user form. So this is how my user form looks like. I've got a name label over here, and corresponding to the name label, I've got a name text box so a user can enter details over here. Similarly, I've got a age label over here, and for the age label, I've got a age combo box. Then I've got a gender label. Corresponding to gender label, I've got two option buttons. One is male option button and the other one is female option button. Then I've got email label. Corresponding to email label, I've got email text box. Then I've got monthly bill. Now corresponding to monthly bill, I've got a bill text box and I've got a bill spin button as well. Now, if you may recall, in the sessions where we had discussed form controls, we had also discussed spin button. A spin button can be used to increment or decrement values in a particular cell. Over here, spin button will be used to increment decrement values in this text box. So let's just go to the original form and see how this works. So if I click on the above arrow, this will start increasing the numbers and this one will start reducing the numbers. So we'll write a code such that whenever someone changes this, there will be a change over here also. Then moving on, for country label, I've got a country list box. I'll show you in the original form. So this is a list box. I can see different options over here. Now I've got this frame over here, contactable through email, and this particular frame has two checkboxes. One is yes checkbox and the other one is no checkbox. And at the end, I've got three command buttons. I've got a OK command button, I've got a cancel command button, and I've got a clear command button. Now, as I said earlier, once a user has entered data in the entire user form, using OK, I would want that data gets saved in another sheet. When a user clicks on cancel, irrespective he or she has filled data here or not, I would want the user form to disappear. And clear, whenever a user has entered some data and they want to clear whatever data they have entered over here, they can click on clear, but by clicking on clear, the user form will not disappear. So let's just see how this user form actually works and then we'll look at the coding also. So we'll go to fill form. Let's add in some values over here. Let's say the name is ABC, age is 25, male, email address abc@abc.com, monthly bill 26. Let's select the country as Russia, contactable through email, yes. As soon as I'll click on OK, all my data will be stored in sheet 2 and my user form will disappear. So my sheet 2 has this entry now, abc25 mail, abc@abc.com, and the rest of the details over here. Similarly, let's look at cancel and clear. Let's just fill ABC and I want to cancel it. So I'll just click on cancel. Now the user form disappears and there is no entry over here. When I'll click on fill form again, let's just say I filled in ABC and I want to clear this. I'll just click on clear. So my data is removed from here, but the user form does not disappear. Now let's look at the coding bit. Now go to your user form. I've named this user form as customer contact user form. So click on the name, do a right click and click on view code. Now the first part over here is user form underscore initialize. So over here you are going to declare or you are going to write codes such that whenever someone clicks on a button which will make the user form appear, what will be the state or the default state in which the user form will appear. So in our case, when I'll click on fill form, my text box corresponding to name is empty. My combo box corresponding to age is empty, though I can see all these different items over here. Similarly, for my gender, neither male nor female, none of them are pressed. Email address, my text box for email address is empty. Then for my monthly bill, I don't have any values over here. Again, this is empty. For country, I can just see all the items, but there is no one item which I have selected. Moving on to contactable through email, yes or no, both of them are unchecked. So this is the default state in which my user form is appearing. So by initialize over here, we mean that we are just initializing the user form, showing the user form in a default state so that someone can then fill values in it. So over here, I've got my name text box as empty. Let's say if I write AA and now if I go and call my fill form, so now AA is already there present. Even if I clear it, this AA will not go. Let's click on cancel. Again, let's go and view the code. I'll keep it empty. Moving on to age combo box. So by default, my age combo box is clear, basically empty. But my combo box will have these different values 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30 and all the way to 40. So this is the way by which you can add values to your combo box using add item. Do make sure that you follow the right syntax. So it starts with age combo box, then you are adding different items and then you're closing it with end with. Now the next we'll discuss is option buttons. So right now my male option button dot value is false, my female option button dot value is also false. Basically what they are saying is that none of them will be pressed. If this value was true, so let's just call the form again. As you can see that none of them are pressed. If I keep it to true and now if I click on fill form, so now as you can see my male option button is pressed. Let's click on cancel. Again do a right click, view code. I'll just change it to false again. Similarly my email text box is empty. Now moving on to our two checkboxes in the contactable through email. So I had two checkboxes, yes and no. Again I've kept their default values as false. If I want any of them to be checked, I will change this parameter to true. Then we've got the list box. Now this list box is filled with country names and again you are adding items to it similar to adding items to a combo box using add item option. So over here you are giving different country names: UK, US, China, India, Russia, France and Germany. Again then you are ending this statement with end with. Finally we have build text box dot value which is empty by default. So this is how my user form will appear in its default state whenever it is initialized or whenever it is called for. As I had mentioned earlier, that once the user has entered data in it, using OK, cancel or clear, we will need to do something of that data. So clear is used to delete the data. So whenever someone will click on clear command button, so I've created a program or an event handler code over here. So whenever someone clicks on my clear command button, I will call user form initialize. So basically I will call this particular program. As soon as I call this particular program, all it is doing is it is putting the user form to its default state. So when you are using your clear button, all you are doing is you are putting your user form to its default state, basically removing any data. Then using cancel command button, so whenever someone clicks on cancel command button, so if you look at it, you've got the cancel command button over here and you've got the event click. Similarly for clear command button, you've got the clear command button over here and over here you've got the event click. So whenever someone clicks on the cancel command button, I would want the user form to disappear, and that happens using the statement unload me. So whenever someone clicks on cancel, the user form will disappear. Now moving on, this is for bill spin button. Now in our user form, we've got bill spin button over here, which will change the value of bill text box. So whenever someone will increment or decrement, this value will change. Though users can directly enter value over here also, but if someone uses spin button, the values will then change over here. So over here again we've written an even handler code. That's whenever someone changes bill spin button. So I've got the bill spin button and I've got the change event over here. So whenever someone does that, my bill text box value will be equal to my bill spin button value. Last is whenever someone clicks on the OK command button. So as I said earlier also that if someone enters data, I would want all the data to be stored in sheet 2. I have written a program over here. All this program is doing is, first of all, it is identifying a new empty row. So in our case, the new empty row would be third row because the first two rows are filled. And we are identifying the new empty row using count a function. So this is a function which we have come across earlier also. It counts the number of rows which are populated and then it returns that value. And to identify the new empty row, we are just adding 1. Column A, we are saving name. In column 2, we are saving age combo box value. For column 3, which is either male or female, I'm using an if condition. So if male option button dot value is true, so if someone has pressed my male option button, that value will change to true. Then my column 3 will consist of male, else it will consist of female. My column 4 will consist of email address. Column 5 will consist of my bill. Column 6 will consist of my country. And last but not the least, column 7, that will be again based on whether yes or no checkbox have been ticked. So if someone has checked the yes checkbox, that value will change to true. Then we'll have yes in column 7, else we'll have no. So now this is all to do with the coding for the various controls we have on a particular form. So now this is the coding which goes behind a user form and the different controls. The only thing which now is remaining is a button which would show the user form. So in this particular sheet, whenever I click on this button, my user form will appear. So this is a command button. If I enter into the design mode and I click on this, if I do a view code, the name of this command button is fill form. And again over here, I'm using an event handler. So whenever someone clicks on fill form, I will be making use of this particular statement. This is the name of the user form, customer contact user form, and all I'm doing is I'm showing the user form. Now let's look at the second example. which is country states user form. Now in this particular user form, let me go back to the Excel file. When I click on country states, this user form appears. Right now I've got these three different values, USA, UK, China in combo box, and over here I don't have any value. So this user form will show how we can have value of one particular combo box dependent on the value of other combo box. So right now my value in combo box 2 is dependent on my value in combo box 3. So say I select USA in combo box 1. Now I'll have cities corresponding to USA in combo 2. Similarly, if I select UK over here, my values over here will change to UK cities. Similarly, if I select China, my values over here will change to China. So let's see the coding behind this. In terms of the actual form designing as such, there isn't much. We've just added two combo boxes. And the main objective of this example is to show how you can make combo boxes dependent on each other in a user form also. So let's do a right click, view code. Again, the first step is to initialize the user form so that whenever a user form is called, how it will look in its default state. So over here, I've got country combo box and I've got three items in this country combo box added. So as such, I will not be able to see any value in the default state, but in the drop down, I'll have these three values: USA, UK, China. Now, once the user form has been initialized, I'm then using an event handler code basically, which is whenever my combo box for my country changes. So I've got this country combo box over here. Whenever this will change, so whenever it will change from its default state to say USA or UK or China, then my VBA program will go through the following conditions. So over here, we have declared a variable country name as string. And then for country name, we are giving the value of country combo box. So this value can be either USA, UK or China. My second combo box, or basically the dependent combo box, is called the state combo box. By default, it is set clear. Over here, I'm using the select case statement. So select case country name. If case is USA, then the with state combo box will have these different options in it. If the case is UK, then the state combo box will have these different values to it. And if the case is China, then the state combo box will have these different values to it. The last is the OK command button, which we have. I'm just saving the data in sheet 5, similar to what we had seen in the first example. So now my data has got pasted in sheet 4. I've got USA, Alabama over here. So one thing, so just one thing which I like to point out over here is using this particular command, application.screen updating. So by putting it to false, all I'm saying is that I do not want to see all these calculations happening or these sheets getting activated and then these values getting pasted. So all these will keep on happening at the back. I do not want my screen to be updated while these things are happening. And then at the end of it, I'm just changing the settings again to true, which is the default state. So these were two examples of user forms, and I will give you some exercises and I'll also be providing you with these codes so that you can play around with them. Now, user forms can be used in different ways. Mostly they are used to save data and then this data then can be analyzed or used in whatever way the end user wants it to. That is all from this session, and if you have any questions, then do let me know. Thank you.